So recently I've been doing lots of videos about actual deals I'm doing and thoughts about the market. In this episode, I want to sort of step back and talk to the new landlords, right? The people that are looking at rental properties, people that are looking at the turnkey properties I produce, and really talk about what it takes to be a landlord, right? So I'm calling this one Landlord 101. Again, my target full-time employees, so that's really what we're going to talk about today. As always, we're going to go through the goals. There's really three. We're going to talk about before you buy. What are the things I think you need to do before you buy? I call it, invest $1. Right? You're investing time certainly. Before you've committed $1, there's some things that I suggest you do. We're then going to talk about you pulled the trigger, you bought something, you've gone through escrow, and congratulations, you're a landlord. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. And then there's just some things I think you need to remember that sometimes even I still forget to these days. So I wanted to just highlight a few and talk about them. So before you invest $1, one of the things I think you need to do is I think you just need to get a feel for the market. All right, I would like you to, at a minimum, look online, look on Realtor. I suggest if it's a market that's close enough to you, that you actually go spend some time there. But you need to really start getting a feel for the market. All right, you can just go to Realtor.com or Redfin or any of the others, and pick a zip code in the area, and get a feel for what's selling, what's listed. Right, you can go to Realtor.com and look for what's sold. You can go to Realtor and look for what the current listings are, just to get a feel for what's out there. Typically invest in markets that are rather large, so don't just do the city. Pick a market, pick a sub-market, right, a zip code, and start to get your feet wet. If you can, find a way to go back and look at history, right? One of the things I like to do is also go back and look at, what did my market do in the last peak, which you could think of as 2007-8 timeframe. What did it do during the crash, right? And then what's it doing now? So you just got to get a solid foundation and start with 50, and then over time you're going to be adding to that, obviously. Next, one of the things that you should do is try to network. Look online, Facebook. People have websites. Try to find an experienced investor in that market. I have found that most investors that I bump into are happy to talk and discuss the market. I know I certainly talk with all of my teams about the market, answer all the questions, try to give history lessons about what's going on, answer questions about zip codes. In general, investors, certainly property investors, don't typically act with the scarcity mentality because there's lots of properties in big markets. There are a few people out there that act that way. I suggest that's not the best option. So, if you have a chance to talk with me, you're going to see that I give everything away freely. Believe in good karma and all of that. So I certainly believe there's other investors in other markets that will do the same thing. So try to reach out, find someone, have some conversations. One of the things you should be doing before you commit $1 is interview property management teams. Maybe your experienced investor can make a recommendation, or maybe you can go online. But I think a mistake is to, buy a duplex, and you close on August 1st, and then you go, oh shoot, I need a property manager. And then you're sort of, you've got to probably pick the first one or second one you call. I would spend some time finding and identifying your property management team before you sign on the dotted line. Certainly at a minimum while you're in escrow. I mean, that would be the very last minute and probably too late. But I have seen a couple investors over time get to the finish line, become landlords, because maybe they bought a property that had tenants already, and they're like stuck. And that can get ugly fast. Remember, you're a full-time employee, you're busy already, you don't need more headaches. And trust me, you don't want to be in the property management business. It's a tough life. Another thing you could do, just because we're in a seller's market and you're likely competing for properties that owner-occupants would like, is get pre-approved, right? Get all the financing out of the way as possible. Pre-approved, pre-qualified, whatever you want, right? There's a difference between pre-qual and pre-approved. Pre-approved is more in depth. You're actually going to fill out an application, show them your bank statements, all of that. Having a pre-approval letter in a market as an investor is a great idea. Else, you could get stuck behind owner occupants that are already pre-approved, and they'll likely pay a little bit more. So do yourself a favor and make that happen. The other thing you need to do is you not only need to research the market for pricing and what's listed and what's sold, you really need to get a hold of what the rental amounts are. Right? You need to understand what a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment rents for, what a 2-1 house, what a 3-2, what a 4-2, what a 3-2 plus garage. What in downtown, what on the outskirts. You need to start get a feel. Now this is where you can start to leverage other bullet points, or you can leverage at least an upshot of the experienced investor. Maybe you can double check that with the property management team. But it's impossible to really build a spreadsheet model or cash flow estimate without understanding rents, right? Because you can pretty much do the expenses, at least ballpark. But if you don't know and have a solid understanding where the rental amount is, and you go too high, that's a mistake, right? I think actually understanding the expense side is typically easier, right? You got the mortgage payment, taxes, insurance. You can throw in an average of 30% for just general expenses, and you're going to be close. However, if you overshoot rent by $100, it's probably going to mean you pay too much, and you could create an alligator, and that's never an okay thing. And again, an alligator is something where your spreadsheet says you're going to lose $100 a month every month for the next 15 or 30 years. Don't do that. Either don't buy it or put more down. And again, as the last bullet here says, just to hit it again, never buy an alligator, right? If you're working with me and you really just have to have that property, just put more down, right? Just because a bank says they will lend you, 70% of the purchase, and your spreadsheet says that turns into a $225 negative, best case, put more down, right? If they're going to loan 70%, maybe you have to put 50% down, right? You're going to do yourself a favor long term by having a property that cash flows most months. There's already enough bad things that happen, and water heaters break and tenants leave and all these other things where you're certainly going to have some negative months. Don't guarantee negative months every month. Trust me. I did that, as I said in my book, by refining a property, and that's just no fun. Okay, so now you bought something. You're a landlord. Congratulations. If this is your first time, I suggest not letting the high of that feeling, and trust me, I know it. I still get it to this day, at least a little bit when I buy something. But you need to take 2 months off, right? Continue researching the market, continue learning more, continue doing all these things. But, don't buy one August 1st, another one August 15th, another one August 30th, and September 15th. You need to figure out if this is for you, right? You need to, sit down and go, okay, after 2 months, is it what I thought it would be? Or am I getting what I expected? Is it too many headaches? Whatever, right? This isn't for everyone. So don't add to your potential problems by buying more than that first property until you're okay with it. You understand the team, you got a good property manager, all of that. Okay. The other thing you need to do, because again, you have a full-time job, this is something you're doing to build wealth for your future and your family and college fund and all of that stuff. Know what your job is and know what your team's job is, right? Your job is not to go paint rooms and mow lawns and fix fences and all of that stuff, right? Certainly, maybe you could. And trust me, in the beginning, I actually did some of that just to prove I could. I don't know why. I insisted on repainting a freaking 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment one time, but I did. I still have the supply sitting in my garage. It's crazy. But it's your job is to find deals and secure capital if you're a full-time employee. Your job is not to go paint a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that you could get done for $900 or something. Know your job, right? Find deals, secure capital, and answer questions on approvals or when to start evictions and things of that nature. This is a big one, right? A lot of the people that I speak with, they're obviously very good people, and sometimes their heart, they let their heart make decisions. That's why one of the reasons I recommend investors don't meet tenants, because that's when the human emotion side can get a part of this, right? If you go and you walk into an apartment and you see a family and the wife's pregnant and They've really made it theirs and they're so excited. And then the next month they miss their rent and it's their excuses, excuses, excuses. I know all of us, probably even including myself, if I knew that story, I'd be like, wow, got to give him a break, right? Maybe she just had her kid or, whatever. Um, if you let your human emotion side get, in front of too many decisions, you're pretty soon going to have negative cash flow all the time. You're pretty soon going to have a property you shouldn't have bought and bad things can happen, right? This needs to be a business. And I have found the easiest thing to do is just not meet the tenants, right? That way, all is, hey, unit A has not paid their rent. There was a 3-day notice. It's now the 10th. What should I do, right? The only answer is start evictions. This is a business for you. It's not your job to help families manage their cash flow, right? They were approved. They had the income. They had all these things. And if they can't pay anymore or don't want to pay anymore, that's the process, right? So I typically recommend when you do walkthroughs, not, if you can, not to meet the tenants or at least not to interact very often. It's just always led to bad decisions on my part in the past. You've got to get comfortable, right? One of the things you're going to be doing is reviewing reports. I would recommend, if you have a single family home that you're buying, maybe to set up a 15-minute call every couple of weeks. Just to have the phone call, hey, I own, 123 Main Street. What's been going on, right? They can pull up the report, say, hey, nothing's happened. They haven't called us. Or they can say, hey, they called because there was a leaky faucet and it was a $50 repair, or hey, the tenant hasn't paid, or the rental rate's too low and we need to increase it. Whatever. You're just trying to understand the business more. If you have a multifamily, right, you have a duplex or a fourplex or whatever, I would actually have calls once a week. At least for the first couple of months, because you're trying to get a rhythm of this business, and you'll see over time that things repeat themselves, and landlording is not that hard once you sort of get through this, but you need to actively engage, and I really put that on you, right? The property manager likely has hundreds of investors, but if you tell them you want to talk once a week, 3 o'clock on Friday or whatever, that is something certainly they're going to be willing to do. And then again, I think you need to review the numbers at least quarterly, right? If this is just your first one, it's a little single family house. Your property manager should be sending you reports every month with any expenses, but I suggest you go back every 3 months and look at the 3 months in total, right? Because any 1 month could be an expectation, right? There could be a water heater, right? $900 water heater. And suddenly that month looks bad. But if you look at it over a quarterly basis and the other 2 months had no expenses, you start to get a feel for that. And then when you own it for 6 months, you'll look at the whole 6 months, and then 9 months, and then a year, right? You'll see that as time goes by and units add up, the expenses average about 30 to 35% of rent. And I just did this across a portfolio of 50 properties over 28 or 29 months to get to that average, right? So some properties were very low repairs, a couple were very high, but when you blend that out, those are kind of the averages. So things to remember. You really set up your success in this business with what you create as a monthly payment, right? So that's a combination of purchase price and down payment. It's that, action that really will allow you to either have cash flow, or you have just bought a alligator property. And again, if you're going to invest with me, work with me, we are not going to do that. We either not going to buy the property, or you're going to put more down. Because trust me, that is not fun. The other thing to remember is this is a get-rich-slow business, right? You're going to let the tenant pay off the mortgage, right, which includes not only interest but also principal reduction. You're also going to let inflation, both rental inflation, right? You're going to increase rents over time, but really the upshoot in wealth is going to be created with the property increasing in value. And then as you pay down the principal, it's kind of a double whammy, right? So you may not feel anything the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? The positive cash flow, may buy groceries, may buy dinner. But as you go through this first 5, 10, 15 years, it will cascade and grow into something substantial, especially if you continue investing. The other thing is bad things happen. Tenants leave. Tenants leave unexpectedly. Tenants stop paying. Tenants fight evictions. Stuff breaks. Leaks happen. You're buying sticks and bricks, and it wears down, and roofs leak, and all kinds of stuff happens. Um, just understand that that's going to happen, and you're just you should have a reserve fund set aside, and just tackle it as it comes up. Certainly have insurance. I recommend an umbrella too, just in case, that extra coverage. I've never had to use my umbrella in all these years, but it certainly makes me feel better knowing it's there. So it's just it's not all roses and sunshine, right? There's our storm clouds out there that will eventually happen. The other thing I talk about is, I think you need to focus on the market. I know there's people out there that go, hey, I have 3 units in Cleveland and 2 in Austin and 1 in Detroit. I don't get how that works long term, right? I get how it feels good. I get how it sort of feels to say you're a landlord in 3 states or 7 states or 17 states. I get it. I would suggest, if you focus on a market and start to network and know that this is a people business, you're going to find more deals. You're going to be more successful. So that's something I recommend looking into. Don't stress about the little things. There's enough things in life to worry about. I don't know what little things mean to you. Right? If there's, for me, after all these years, if the expense is less than $250, I've learned to trust my team. I don't care. Just, go take care of it. Right? And if it's over $250, then we have a quick conversation. And if it's substantially more, we have a real conversation. But just figure out where that threshold is for you. And then, again, because you're going to be talking with your team and all these things, you will develop your own rhythm. And what's important to you, and maybe it's $50. I don't know, right? Whatever little is to you, set that threshold, and just realize that by setting that, you're going to remove a percentage of the calls and issues and things of that nature. And the last thing is, landlording is not for everyone, right? That's why I said on the other one is, buy one and sit back and wait, right? Sometimes landlording, it's sexy, and it's you can be very comfortable with it, but sometimes it's just not for you, right? Sometimes you're like, oh God, in my example, right? I bought a house on Norris Drive 15 or 16 years ago. So excited. Bought it for $107,000, rented for $10.95. Moved a tenant in really fast. I don't remember, first week, something like that. And they only paid the first month rent. They never paid again. The family broke up, some kind of divorce breakup situation. The mom, or the lady in the situation, left, and the husband chose to not pay, and worse yet, destroy the property. In many cases, that probably would have turned most people off, right? And if we seriously thought about it. Right? Is this for us? Now, obviously, the story there is, we just, we swallowed hard, and, we fixed it back up after we evicted him. He was in there for another 2 months, and, we kept going. And now that house, after that experience, was great for, I don't know what it was, 5 or 6 years, until we sold it in 1031 into something else. But that could be a scary experience for someone, right? Having a property, being so excited, and then seeing all the massive downside. And if that's you, and you just get to that point and you're stressed every day and you can't sleep, just admit it to yourself and sell the property, right? Life is too short to have something going that you're stressed out and you can't sleep. You can do lots of other things in this business. You can become a lender, a private investor, to someone like myself, or someone else, someone like me in your market, that has the skill and experience and are doing it. Lots of people out there have experience and can help if landlording isn't for you. So again, lots of things you can do. I suggest, if you are uncomfortable and you're stressed out and you can't sleep, then just stop. Just call up your team and say, hey, help me list this property. Want to get back as much as I can, if much as I put in as I can, but you may take a little loss because it's only been a couple of months and prices don't increase that much. But at least you're going to save yourself stress. So that's something I would caution you if it's not for you. So in the end, do me a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment below. We're actually up to 107 subscribers now. So hey, we're clicking along. Do me a favor, if you like this video, share it with your friends and family. And I'd love to see us get to maybe 115 or 120 by the end of the week. Have a great day.